The Hanley Sustainability Institute is housed in the College of Arts and Sciences, but really has a cross-campus impact. Our objective is really to help stimulate sustainability as a practice and as a frame of mind that pervades the entire campus, that every student is cognizant of the sustainability challenges we face, that every faculty member thinks about their work in that context, at least to some degree, that every staff member thinks about how sustainability impacts their work.
Sustainability is a global challenge and a global question, and unless we're talking to each other, we won't find the answers we need, or those answers will only be for some and not for others.
I would say that can be a lot of things depending on who you are and what tomorrow looks like for you. So really just making sure that we're not doing anything that inhibits the future from growing and continuing the way that it would like to.
Sustainability is about the ability to sustain. And so I like to think about what are the aspects of our operations on campus, what are the aspects of our operations as a society and as human civilization that we will not be able to sustain given the constraints that are placed on us by the fact that we live on a finite planet. And there are lots of things that we can't just keep doing the way we're doing right now. We can't just keep burning fossil fuels until the end of time, both because there's only a finite amount of fossil fuels on this planet, but more pressingly, because we are increasing the carbon dioxide concentration in the atmosphere to a level that has not been seen in over 1 million years. Our species has never seen this level of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. And that's certain to have all sorts of impacts on our systems, from agriculture to energy to our economic and political and social systems. So we need to think very carefully about what we can't sustain and then try to identify ways that we can shift our society and our operations in ways that are able to be sustained.
I think we're also realizing that all that has emerged from the Industrial Revolution and growth economies and such has been great. It's had incredible benefits to us all. But we're seeing the costs, and we're also seeing how we're kind of running up against that wall, that indeed the environmental impacts are starting to hit what's often called a tipping point. Resource depletion is hitting, kind of a tipping point. So we have the knowledge to be aware of that and address it. And when you talk about something like climate change and biodiversity loss, this is really, really serious stuff. And our young generation, our students get that.
When we focus on the idea of our ability to sustain, we're really talking about what any reasonable person, any reasonable community, any reasonable human species should do to act in planful ways with an eye on long-term implication. As an educational institution, one of our capabilities is to help people understand the root meanings of the term, why we should care about it, and then in particular, find ways to build bridges so that we can take effective action to realize the values inherent in sustainability.
The Institute really has 4 themes that we work on. The first is education, trying to weave sustainability throughout our curriculum and develop new curricular programs in sustainability. The second is research and scholarship, trying to catalyze and promote faculty and other folks working on sustainability in terms of everything from engineering to business to the arts to the liberal arts, all aspects of research and scholarship. The third area is community engagement, working with the regional partners to facilitate sustainability planning in our community and to facilitate the better understanding of the sustainability challenges that humanity faces. And the fourth area is the campus operations. We work very closely with our facilities management team to try to reduce the environmental impacts of the campus's day-to-day operations.
And ours is truly a transdisciplinary program. So our students learn grant writing, they learn data analysis, they learn statistics, they learn art and design, they learn philosophy. Our capstone course is a combination of advanced philosophy taught by a philosophy professor and a member of UD who works closely with the community and community partners on community projects. So they learn leadership and environmental ethics at the same time. And so that really makes it unique. I'm excited to see it launch. We developed 2 degrees, and each degree has tracks. So based on the student's vocational interest, we'll direct them into a track. They work closely with an advisor, and they follow a vocational path that will prepare them for jobs in those fields. So for our Bachelor of Science, because it does emphasize quantitative methods, you have the energy track and the sustainable watersheds track. In the Bachelor of Arts, because it emphasizes qualitative methods and more of the skills of communication and social theory from the social sciences and humanities. You have 2 tracks that are more embedded in community work, and that's urban sustainability and sustainable food systems.
I'm excited to see the major launched and to see how many new students are affected by it being brought to UD, and if it will expand past UD and more universities will start developing similar programs.
So we're a small institute in terms of staff. We have about 5 full-time staff members right now, but we leverage the tremendous interest of our student body in sustainability. So right now we have around 20 undergraduate students working on various projects with the Hanley Institute, as well as 5 graduate students from departments across campus working on various projects.
You can see how students are finding those ways of getting that broad knowledge on their own, and I'm pretty confident, given the kind of research we've done, that our students coming out with this skill set will be very competitive.
So there are a number of different ways that students can get involved with the Hanley Sustainability Institute. We have volunteers from all over campus. Each year scores of students participate in various activities. But then we also have what's called our Student Leaders Program, where we select students who have already demonstrated leadership and interest and experience in sustainability through volunteering on projects. And they assume a greater leadership role in really driving forward projects like composting on campus, like the green roof, like energy audits in buildings across campus and things like that.
We've worked really closely with the grounds department here on campus, who have supported us every step of the way in transforming a turf lawn into a pollinator prairie to help support the solar array.
In 2015, Dr. Dan Curran, our president, then signed a climate commitment pledge to pledge that the university would reduce or eliminate carbon emissions on campus. So we started looking at ways to do that, and solar was one of the ways. So we chose Fitz Hall as our rooftop installation, and then we started looking for a visible site to where the community, faculty, staff, the surrounding community could also see a nice sizable array to show them that we were committed to reducing our carbon emissions on campus. Well, this covers about close to 5 acres, the array does. We have 2,805 panels out there that are single axis tracking system, so they will follow the sun throughout the day for better efficiency, so we'll get more output and efficiency from that. Each panel is 305 watts each, so it's around 835 kW output with the array, and like I said, provides about 10% of the building load here. One of the focus points, because it was such a large space, it was going to be visible even from the street. We housed our University of Dayton Research Institute here as well. They were able to, that would make a statement for all the visitors that they have coming in, the community coming in, and the same thing for Fitz Hall. That's where the Hanley Sustainability Institute is housed, and we wanted to be able to provide an opportunity for the students and faculty and staff there to be able to say that they work in a building that has renewable energy in it. One of the main reasons that we did this project was to provide an opportunity for our clean and renewable energy students to have an opportunity to do some research with a dedicated row of panels that they have here.
This past year, I was involved in a course called Design Science Synthesis through the instruction by Professor John Clark. And in the first semester, I was with 5 other students. In the second semester, I was with 2 other students, and we were approached by Leah and the facilities management team in Hanley Sustainable Institute and asked to design informational signage for this solar prairie being installed. So we had to, from the very early stages, kind of investigate and research what solar prairies were, why those two things go together. We had to develop a further understanding of solar power, develop a further understanding of prairies, prairie plants, some of the native pollinators that are going to be in this particular area, and get just an overarching view of what this is all about. People don't necessarily associate directly with design, sustainability, and those kind of things, but it helps me to be a more aware designer, both in the way that I think, but also in the way that I create. And I think having kind of this background in sustainable design has pushed me forward to want my designs in the future to have a sustainability quality to them.
It's been a great opportunity for our students, and that's one of the main reasons we wanted to install this. So at each location, they have the ability to see the output on a minute-by-minute basis, an hourly basis, and throughout the year.
It is absolutely a living laboratory. Students and faculty from the Renewable and Clean Energy program are conducting research on a set of the panels that are set aside specifically for student research projects. They're looking at ground cover and how that impacts the functioning of the solar cells. And we hope to engage other faculty and students over the course of the next several years.
It has been just a wonderful experiential learning process and has given me, the absolute world in understanding what it is to be a professional and understand how to work in different facets, both as an individual and as a member of a team. I think the core value of the University of Dayton, it's kind of our buzzword here, is community, and that I have worked together with these numerous teams through this project, and I've really felt as close to what it means to be a student of the University of Dayton and understanding how this affects the scope of our community, both at UD, in the city of Dayton, in the state of Ohio, in the United States, and in the world. So you kind of see how this little part we're doing our job and how that value of community is really strong here.
We're in the process of trying to undergo more strategic planning for our campus sustainability efforts, and we ultimately would like to try to marry student inspiration and ideas with a long-term vision for how we can be a more sustainable campus. But so far we've pretty much just been taking advantage of the particular things that students bring to mind, and they have great ideas, they're very passionate about executing them, and they're very successful in making things happen.
So sometimes projects move directly to implementation, sometimes they require a little bit more planning, sometimes they're big, complex ideas that may take longer to work through. But it is really students to this point that have driven a lot of the most important and high impact things that the Institute has done. But my hope would be, especially through the work we do with our students and through our research capability, that we can find common ground for moving forward, while at the same time not delaying productive, influential action.
I think one of the things that we can do that will really make an impact is to open a frank and honest conversation about how we can prepare for the future. We know the climate is changing. People may have different ideas about how that's happening or why that's happening, but I think we're at a point where almost everyone agrees that the climate is shifting in concerning ways. And as a community, we need to find ways of adapting and responding to that.
There's a very real and clear call in this community, as there is around the country, to look for creative, better informed, better resourced ways to think through these problems together. Because it certainly is not enough for UD to regard itself as an island that's self-contained, because we're not. And so our hope is that the Hanley Institute will really have active, far-reaching relationships with a wide variety of other partners to work together through these issues.
We have a number of students now, since the minor has been around for several years. We have a number of students who have gone out into careers and have told us how they use that minor. That's been very promising. Many students, whether they're working in dietetics or art and design or communications or engineering or the natural sciences, find that in their careers, when their employers understand they have this knowledge and sustainability, they use it. And those students are now young professionals, get the opportunity to advance in their careers and apply sustainability concepts to those careers. So we'll just have to continue with that primary measure. A second measure, and this is with the Hanley Sustainability Institute, is to see how that relationship with the community and all of the community projects we're committed to continues to flourish and develop. We're working with all kinds of community groups in Dayton, and so we keep track of how that's going. And then essentially student feedback, faculty feedback. We'll see how the students negotiate success in the program, finish it. We'll just be keeping data of all those measures.
We're also making connections here in our local community. For example, there's a strong partnership with the Mission of Mary Cooperative and East End Community Services centered around the Lincoln Hill Gardens site. We've been partnering with these organizations to start an urban agriculture program and to work with community members to educate people about how to grow their own food, how to use their own food, and how to be more sustainable in their food habits.
The Mission of Mary Cooperative was founded by a group of lay Marinists who graduated from University of Dayton in 2007. We were kind of directed to the Twin Towers neighborhood from the Fit Center, saying that there was a lot of needs, but also a lot of assets with the local churches, schools, and nonprofits already doing great work. So we moved into the neighborhood as a residential lay Marinist community, and over a 3-year period of time, we really understood the actual needs of the people we were living with, which I would point to being primarily, an issue with food access and a lot of vacant land. We kind of took the two things we saw there being present to the people and land and said, why not start an urban farm, grow beyond our own needs? Our hope is to inspire and educate others on this as well. I figure if Mission of Mary Cooperative can do this, why can't other organizations?
I think the big picture here is that we as humanity are facing challenges that we have never faced in our history since we have evolved to be the species that we are. We're encountering environmental conditions that we've never had before. Our way of developing, which has been so tremendously successful for the past few hundred years perhaps, is running up against natural limits. And I think it's incumbent upon all of us to think more broadly about our interaction with the world and the nature of our systems, and to recognize that just because something has worked in the past doesn't mean it's going to keep working in the future. We need to find new ways of generating energy. We need to find new ways of handling material flows. We need to find new ways, frankly, of thinking about our economic systems that are compatible with the fact that we are a species of almost 9 billion living on a finite planet. And this challenge will reach every sector of society in the coming decades. And I think it's a really exciting time to to think about what actions we can take to make a difference in the world. And that's an area where I think Hanley Sustainability Institute can make a big impact.
The notion of home is important to all of us, but this is a home we share, we have to live in together. And that's a remarkable stimulus for really thinking in new and creative ways about everything from education to research. And so the driving impetus of the Hanley Sustainability Institute is really to bring a lot of areas that have been separate in the past, from education to research to community partnerships, and our campus, to bring those together in a more holistic, well-integrated way.